Hi, this is Eva for Midnight Mandela. Welcome to Once Upon a Timeline. Everything went smoothly this time. Looks like we're not going to have too many computer problems. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. Um, it occurred to me that maybe it's actually leaving YouTube Studio on that is killing my computer. So this time I made sure to leave it off, not running, and then come back and turn it on, which is not that big a deal. So that actually might be it. But I actually did order a cam for my one at work. I have a cam now, but it cuts out all the time. So I'm not sure if that's a software or hardware problem. So I ordered another one so I can see if I can straighten that mess out. And then I would just need a mic, and then I would have the option of going from work, and then I would have two setups. So worst case scenario, if one system didn't work, I could just drive to the other location, and it would be about 20 minutes delay, and it'd be good to have that option. So we'll see what we could do. Okay, Gay Kinder's asking about tonsil stones. Those have actually been on before. I agree that I never heard of them until about 1 or 2 years, maybe 2 years ago. They're a little bit older, Mandela. Yeah, those are weird. So basically, first there was an argument about what's your tonsils, because a lot of people remember it being the little bobby thing in the middle of the mouth and the back, and now it's on the sides, and now you can get these disgusting like calcium buildup or something of stones in there that you got to like pick out, and it's pretty gross. Yeah, I never heard of those until only a few years ago. So Shari, something really weird is happening lately, jumping from one timeline to another. The trip plans of a friend of mine changed from family reunion and Christmas in England to flight today with one daughter to Netherlands. I have definitely seen stuff like that. Nothing extra this week, but when telling her what she told me before, she said, no, this was the plan from the beginning. I've definitely had people say that, and I've almost gotten where I'm afraid to even say what I remember from the past because they'll be like, no, what are you talking about? Ask my family members, and they remember the version I told them before. Well, at least you got some corroboration. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I'll put it on live chat. How many remember Sagittarius Earth? So I have to say, I actually never paid attention to what arm we were in. I just know we were on the outskirts, and we're not now. And so I say I'm from Sagittarius Earth. I actually don't specifically remember if it was Sag or not. I do know it was outskirts, and now it didn't. And I have also seen it change since then. So probably it was Sag. John 3:16 shall not perish. Now John 3:16 should not perish. Should not perish is a different concept than shall not perish. So that is interesting. I don't know if it's not normal language for the Bible. Should not. Should not does not imply certainty. Shall not is a certain thing. Should not is like, well, you probably shouldn't. It probably shouldn't happen, but it could still happen. I think I learned of tonsil stones on the show. Yep. Is the picture changing for anybody else too? I did see that from Shari. And this is interesting. Okay, so I did have the show last week, which was the that got canceled because of technical problems, and there was an image on there that had the backbone of the whale, and I'll still go over that. But I wanted to clarify that this is a different show, so I put up a different main image, which is that sand dune thing. So if you mean, did it switch from the whale fossils to like a regular wiggly sand dune? Yes, I did that. Now, if you mean that the regular wiggly sand dune thing changed, then was not me. It would be the Mandela. I do actually think it's kind of interesting what you're saying, because so basically what's that thing on the image? It's so we have this thing now called star dunes. And I found that yesterday, but just what I saw yesterday versus what I saw today is already confusing me. So used to be that sand dunes would be like all these like kind of curved half moon shapes. The wind would blow a certain way and they'd all curve according to the wind. So it looked like a sickle shape or a half moon. Well, now they have this thing called star dunes, where they make all these weird wiggly star shapes, and they say, oh, well, it's because the winds shift too much or something. And these things are totally bizarre. I have not seen this before. Here's another one. And I've even found one site that had all these different shapes. It could be like this, it could be like that. So these are real dunes. It looks like something out of a video game. It really doesn't look like Earth, but so there's a lot of them in the Sahara. And then I was just looking yesterday and I just found all these images from Sahara, but now I'm finding all of these images from Algeria. And I found new images today that I didn't find yesterday, even though I typed star sand dune into Google yesterday. These things. I did find a lot from images from Rub al Khali, wherever the heck that is. But this one is new. So there's a star dune and then these little wiggly side dunes. And the other one I saw yesterday that actually caught my attention the most, I think it was on Reddit somewhere, is there was a image from satellite, and it just showed like hundreds and hundreds of star dunes, 1, 2, 3, like pockmarked. And weirdly, I'm having trouble really finding that now. This is probably the closest. And I thought it was somewhere in the Sahara when I saw it, but now I'm only finding this one from Algeria. I'll open this in a new. So these are all star sand dunes. Now, what's weird though is I swear when I saw it yesterday, they were a little bit more delineated as separate and equally spaced. And now they're all like kind of wiggling together and stuff. But these are all sand dunes supposedly from space. And they just have a whole different look to them. So that's when she said, is the image changing for anybody else? I kind of like, dang, these star sand dunes are changing by the minute for me. It seems like it's just... oh, here's the one that was showing all the dune options. A star dune in Rub al Khali, courtesy of George. So you see, I think you can see all these options here are possible star shapes of sand dunes now. So I don't know, I just thought it was really cool, and as usual I need a thumbnail, so there you go. Star shaped sand dunes. Ooh, this one's kind of neat. Great Sand Dunes National Park. So you see here it says winds from multiple directions. That's the new storyline. If the winds are fickle, then you get all these shapes. So I'm actually kind of going by the more recent ones backwards right now for Mandelas, because I actually didn't really love the Mandelas I had last week. Some of the ones I have this week are a little nicer. Okay, let's see what you guys are up to. Rub al Khali is between United Arab Emirates and Saudi. Been there, very interesting place. So do you remember star sand dunes? Because I'm finding a lot of images of them, especially yesterday I did, but... It switched from thumbnail to in black and white for 2 to 3 times before you started the show. Okay, I don't know about that. The one I put up is in color. Yeah, should not adds question and doubt. I agree with that. Eva, really, I remember you did remember Sagittarius arm. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, if you say I'm from Sagittarius, I would say yes, but I don't like. I'm pretty sure I've always said that I don't. I didn't know the name of the arm. It just wasn't. I wasn't really into astronomy that much. I learned basic solar system stuff, the moon and how it orbited, but not a lot past that. It's neat having people from different parts of the world because they have a lot of different insight on how stuff works, which I love. I'm planning to go on a safari in a month. I will check this out. Cool. Sand dunes never look like that here, at least last time. So, I mean, there's always a chance that they'll go, okay, well, that depends on the winds. I have just never, ever, ever heard of star-shaped sand dunes. And now, like, I went to Pismo Beach a lot, and every sand dune would be, the same shape. And, like, every time, and every photo I ever saw of them were very distinctive. You could tell right away those are sand dunes. Now when I look at these satellite images, I'm like, I wouldn't know what that was. So we used to have this one of those little ATVs, which are the little motorized three-wheel they're we off-roader bike things, but they have big fat tires. I used to have one of those. And one of the things about sand dunes is you could always trust that the steep side and the shallow side were in the same place, dune after dune after dune after dune. And very rarely you might get one that was a little off to screw you up, but that was about it. There was never any situation where you had no idea what the dune was going to look like over the other side. They were all kind of the same, one after another, one after another. So it's just pretty strange to me. You didn't go to the Huntington Beach Brian Stavely meetup. Nope, didn't go. Wasn't invited. I think somebody mentioned something about some meetup from Stavely here before, but yeah. He might want to be like a little bit nice if he wants people to show up. But, he probably didn't have any interest in me going anyway, so it's fine. All right, let's see. All right, we did that one. I don't know. I'm kind of spaced out today. Let's do... Okay, this one is from our friend in Japan, who I call Taro because I don't know how to pronounce the name. And she just mentioned she's looking at... Wait. The southern border of the USA. And I do have to agree with her when I really looked at it. She didn't specifically say what she thinks is strange about the southern border, but I'm looking at it and maybe this one is good. Image. What looks strange here along the southern border? What would you say looks different than you remember for southern border of the United States? And I'm just gonna let you guys tell me what you think. I'm gonna see if I can find a better image though. Maybe this one. This one. Doink. Southern border. What do you think about southern border? It looks similar. It looks different. I don't know if this is something that happened the last 5 seconds. I haven't really looked at this super lately, but if it does look different, how would you say you think it looks different? And you know, there could be more than one answer too, because I'm looking at one specific thing, but am sometimes missing stuff. Actually, I just saw another thing now that I'm looking at it, actually. There's actually now two things, one more obvious than the other. Maybe like three things. One is tiny though. Okay. So I guess Staveley's, I think it was supposed to be a Mandela meetup, but I'm sure you can't be anti-flat Earth and hope to make it there. I'm not anti-flat Earth, but I'm sort of like simulation Earth, so there is no shape if it's simulation Earth. USA is leaking into Mexico. New Mexico and Arizona look smaller. I don't remember Mexico cutting up so high into them. The diagonal line used to look flatter. Texas also looks like Mexico is cutting higher up into it. Mandanimal agrees with everything everyone is saying. I think you're all kind of saying the same thing. And I agree, because this is what I... So my first thing when I saw this was that the Mexico border just looks way bigger than I remember. I just don't remember Mexico oinking up like half the bottom of the United States. Mexico looks fat. Now, the person who said they don't remember Mexico oinking the whole that far into Texas, I agree. I'm thinking it more like around here. But I've also said for a while, I think Texas has been sliding east, and it's getting bigger compared to California. I don't know if it's gotten bigger. I think a lot of this side has gotten smaller. A lot of the East Coast has gotten smaller, and Texas has maintained its size more. So now it looks bigger compared to everything else. If this area shrinks, then that makes this area a little larger. Florida really looks anemic. I think for a while that Florida had the same length as this knob over here. It's way smaller now. So yeah, I agree. I'm trying to think how Texas was before, but it was like, also the people were saying it was straight across. Yes, I agree with that. I think California has come up, and California used to be kind of at the bottom, towards the bottom of the country. So the border used to be more straight. I'd say California was down here. It's like this piece here has chewed up and pushed California up. And so now this is very jaggedy down. What else did everybody say? I think everybody, and then somebody said United States is bleeding into Mexico, or I want to say, maybe Mexico is pushing up into the side of the West Coast over here. One or the other, I don't know. But Mexico, compared to the USA, looks a lot bigger to me. I mean, it's honking now. I mean, it's... maybe a third of the USA. I don't remember it being that big. It's just gotten really fat over here, and it's peeling around over here. This knob over here keeps growing. So that would be the thing one that I've noticed, the main thing. New Mexico and Arizona look smaller. Let me look at that. New Mexico and Arizona look smaller. Interesting. I'm not sure on that one. I actually think California looks smaller. That's the one thing I couldn't say for sure. Tommy L has a live again. My Gung Fu, I think you meant Kung Fu teacher, did not die in the 1980s as he once did, but was now alive. Another refuses to meet him. So somebody else remembers him being dead and now he's alive and refuses to meet him. I could see that. I mean, especially if you didn't know about the Mandela, because we've kind of gotten used to the idea. It would still be creepy, but we at least probably aren't thinking that guy's a reincarnated devil or something. I mean, it'd be a little easier to deal with if you're already introduced to the idea than if you're just out in the cold and suddenly somebody's alive again. It'd be even more scary. I keep saying this, I keep hoping that my old, my mechanic comes back to life, because he wasn't that old and he had a heart attack and died. And I'm hoping I'll get to the timeline where he survived that heart attack. I have a weird vision of USA. Colorado is up in Canada border and Idaho is now too much west. I do agree with that. There's been a lot of scramble-tamble, I think, over here for me. And Idaho used to be further. And I think Colorado is up here more. And I didn't have Oregon, Washington on top of the USA. Last I checked, there was just a thin line of Washington, like a finger of Washington above California, and that was it. Oregon was over here. So there's been a very weird scramble over here. But that's a little older Mandela. All the southern states look smaller. I don't know. I feel like that these have shrunk and then these look bigger and then Mexico looks like it's taking up more territory for me. At least compared to the other ones. Colorado next to Canada. Yeah, I think Colorado is way up there more. It actually seems weird. I just remember it being like a colder state up here in the cold lands. Iowa, that looks about right for Iowa. Okay, so that's why South Park had that song, Blame Canada. Ooh, that's interesting concept. Okay, what else do I see? This little divot here, I don't remember there being kind of like a divot sticking down right here into this Gulf of Mexico area. I remember this being smooth. So I'm kind of surprised to see that there. Also, there's this big fat lake thing on Florida. And then the regular ones, Cuba getting big, this area getting closed in. And it's been weird because this has just continued and continued and continued. I mean, look at Cuba looks bigger than Florida now as far as landmass. It's certainly getting close. And I really remember like this little one here. I don't remember what this one is now, but I remember Cuba being more like that size, not this monster. And it's gotten really long. It's just a trip. Also, these two Great Lakes here have gotten a lot bigger. These were tiny. I mean, they're starting to rival the other lakes. Also, this lake has split into two almost. That's kind of an older one. Looks like this one's thinking of splitting into two also. Look, it's got a big divot there that keeps growing. All right, let me just see if I can see what Florida's lake looks like here. See, it just looks wrong. Mexico's so big. It doesn't look right. All right, well, it's enough of that one, I think. Salt Lake City more in the U.S. Okay, not sure on that one. The end of Mexico is too curly, certainly. And that appendage in Mexico that's off of the bottom of California, that thing just grows endlessly. I mean, it was way smaller than Florida originally. I kind of wonder, has it always even been there? I mean, I do remember seeing it small, but I kind of wonder, wasn't half of Baja in California? It's interesting you bring that up because a lot of people have asked that. I have this fuzzy memory of thinking Baja was in California, and a lot of people are even more sure of that, but it's not one I could be really sure of. I thought there was Baja, California, though. I'm very suspicious of that one. Europe has changed. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Europe. I probably should pull up Google Earth and look more, but there's a lot to go, so. Okay, and Shari brought up last time, I think we were chit-chatting last week because I couldn't get the show running, but we did have the chat, and Shari, you were talking about the dividing line to North America is at Panama, and I actually didn't look it up until now, but I'm going to check that. I thought North America was the United States and Canada, and that was North America. I've never heard of any other countries being in North America. And me being in North America. So the joke was always like, oh, U.S. thinks they're the only country in North America, but what about Canada? It was, don't forget Canada. That's all it was. Don't forget Canada. It wasn't don't forget Canada plus a bunch of others. How is this? So let's check out this one. How is the border between North America and South America defined? Two separate continents. The 7-continent school of thought. What, we don't have 7 continents anymore? No. See, Mexico was never part of North America. Now, it's sort of looking more like it now, I guess, but it never was. The 7-continent school of thought. So for me, originally, the 7 continents was Arctica, Antarctica, North America, South America, Eurasia, Africa, and Australia. So the current 7 continents is scratch Arctica and add Europe, split Europe and Asia. Now that's the current 7 continents. So we still have 7 continents. So I should have the same view of North and South as before, since we still have 7. But according to this, North America consists of Canada, U.S., Mexico, Cuba. So Cuba, okay, I forget because they're not counting. They count all islands and stuff as part of continents now. It's okay. That didn't used to be a thing for us, but okay. So Cuba, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, Bahamas, a bunch of islands. Okay, Grenadines, Saint Kitts and Nevis. Never heard. I think I heard of that only recently. Dominica. Not heard of Dominica. What is Dominica? Is that some little island thingy? Belize. Dominica. Dominican Republic. Is Dominica Dominican Republic? Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Panama, Greenland, and a number of dependent territories. Dominica. What is Dominica? Dominica country. Greenland. Dominica. Officially known as the Commonwealth of Dominica. I have not heard of Dominica before. Roseau is the capital. Situated as part of the Windward Islands chain in the Lesser Antilles archipelago in the Caribbean Sea. Dominica's closest neighbors are two constituent territories, special territories of members of the European Economic Area, the overseas departments of France, Guadeloupe, and Martinique. All right. Dominica has been nicknamed the nature island of the Caribbean for its natural environment. Okay, so it's one of them guys way over there by Cuba. This is Dominica. Here. Okay, so it's part of this growing pile over here. Check this out. You can really see how this is closing in now. With this island chain here, all these islands over here. There's a boatload of islands in here. So this is closing off a protected waters area. You know, it's interesting to see, in many ways, the Earth is evolving to make these protected waters and inland rivers. And it's kind of cranking along all these new animals. Some are kind of gross, but a lot are beautiful. But humans, we seem to be kind of lagging with our kind of, I don't know, maybe you have to de-evolve a little bit to evolve, but I kind of struck me lately that humans don't seem to be making the same obviously positive progress that the Earth is making. I asked my family if Panama Canal is north-south or east-west, and they all remembered east-west. Yes, that was quite some time ago that it changed, though. They told me I was wrong, and it's never north-south. They didn't even accept Google answer. That's funny. I've kind of noticed that lately. I mean, like, I'm getting people saying, like, it was always this way, and now the internet changed it. I'm like, well, there's no evidence, you know, is all the evidence points to it all the way being that. They're like, no, they won't accept any evidence. They only accept that it's some, I mean, it's just kind of weird. It's like you can't even logic people anymore. It's just like, Svalbard is now a great vacation spot. Really? I mean, isn't it kind of a freezing pit? No, seen videos. Can cruise there. Okay, I'm going to have to check out Kaliningrad Oblast. Yeah. Yeah, Dominica is in North America, I guess. And Cuba. Cuba is too now. Yeah, I mean, I know Europe's changed a lot. We've actually gone over it a lot, though. Current 7. So what if we don't have 7 continents? Let's go back to the spiel. How many do we have? Following the same model. Okay, South America. Was everything else under? It's interesting, though. For me, they did split it at Mexico, but I think it made more sense with Mexico being thinner and it was more of an attachment point. So it used to be that South America was here, and this was like more of a string going straight down, but this is getting fat here. You know, when I think about this, the shape also just seems like it's changed a lot. This knob wasn't there. And so they would cut it here. And I think part of the reason they cut it here is this was thinner. And also, you know, kind of the populace and stuff. This was all a different populace from White Boy City over here in the USA and Canada. So it kind of made a certain sense that way too. You cut it here, you cut it here. Now looking at it now, cutting it here makes more sense. But I don't think it was this thin before either. And I think it attached more at the top here, and it was more squished in. All right. The border between North America and South America is geographical in nature. The geographical definition largely defended by pointing out that the entirety of North America lies within the northern hemisphere. The landmass is largely surrounded by water and the Pacific Ocean. The continent of South America is located in the far southeast. It was the south, but now it's the southeast, connected only by the Isthmus of Panama. These numbers, blah, blah, blah. The geographic, then, instead of the 7 continents one, they're counting the geographic boundary between North America and South America is therefore defined as the Isthmus of Panama. So they're cutting it at Panama because they're saying stuff above Panama is North America. Now, I've said this before, but I feel like Antarctica was up here and it disappeared. And there's been a pulling of United States, and I'm sure Canada too, has gotten pulled further north. So what do I see from my perspective is that the sun does not rise very high in the sky anymore, not even in the summer. And in the summertime, I feel like it's the winter sun it's just too low in the sky. It feels like it crawls along the sky. And in the winter, it's terrible the way it stays so low. But it used to be much higher in the sky, and so I think that's because I'm further north now than I used to be. So if I'm further north, then Mexico's going to be further north. And maybe that is why they used to cut it, because the equator then was over in here more, and north was cut there. But now it's pulled up, and so north is more down there, the equator. And that's why there was a lot of really hot area over there in Mexico. All right, so that's changed. So there really is no, according to this, there's no version. Oh, maybe the political version. This publication identifies countries making up North America as Greenland, Canada, USA, Mexico, Bermuda. No, Mexico was never in it. Okay. Bermuda, the Clipperton Island, St. Pierre and Miquelon, and then South America is it feels like we're missing out on some stuff. But anyway, I don't see any of these versions cutting it. All right, cultural. North and South America may also be divided along the lines of British versus Spanish colonization. All right, so they're saying cultural, but they're not saying where the cut is. You know, it's just pretty bizarre to me that we don't even have any kind of decision on what counts as South America now, unless you're way south or way north. And that just wasn't the thing for me before. All right, so I don't see anywhere where they're cutting it the way I remember it. So yeah, I agree with Shari. That's pretty strange. Yeah, so there's at least some cuts. You know, it's like, are we getting like versions from 100 different timelines all smoshed together? But even so, my timeline is not represented anywhere in there. Suriname never existed as a country in South America. Suriname. Gosh, I thought that was just like an ancient location. I don't remember it being a country. I make a Discord server for regulars to talk in after the stream. Copy this link in your browser. All right, so there it is right here. I will, okay. Copy this link in your browser's address box and delete the space after the dot. There is no space after the, oh, Discord dot. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can put a direct link in since I have the power. All right, that's what you put in. I will delete the dot. Loop. There. So that should be the direct link. Of course, it's not actually working, so you'll still have to cut and paste. Since YouTube does not allow direct links anymore. Panama is in Central America. Yeah, there's actually no talk of Central America. So I remember North and South America, but sometimes they would count like that middle spot as Central America, but it was still like South America. I mean, everything after the USA was South America. So Mexico was always South America for me. What happened with my other videos? Are they not there? Should be. Like last week, though, we had technical difficulties and we only chatted and there was no actual video. So I deleted that one. But all my other videos should still be there. Let me just go check real quick. Studio. All right, I'll just go to my channel. See if you can see them. All right, so videos. All right, those are older ones. These are the lives. Looks like they're okay. That one's there. This is the one we're doing now. So it seems like we're fine. 3 months ago, 2 months, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. Yeah, so there should be about 4 per month. So yeah, it looks like they're okay. Maybe YouTube had a glitch. The last video I'm seeing on your channel are from 2 years ago. I don't know that, you know, I'm seeing them. So hopefully it's just a glitch. Oh, you know what you might be looking at is you might be looking at, it looks like they're splitting them between regular videos and live. So if you're just looking under regular videos, it looks like it's 2 years ago. But if you click under lives here, you'll see all the recent lives. That I don't think I recall them making that split. I'm not sure when they changed that, but I don't think that was there last time I looked. Yeah, okay, Logical Danger says they changed the layout. I think that's fairly new. Australia used to be known as the land down under. Yeah, because it was way under. It's still kind of under, but I think it's still called that. But, you know, you don't hear that said nearly as much now because it's not really special in its location anymore. There's lots of other stuff around there, under there. A whole bunch of stuff's been growing in that area. Costa Rica was an island. That's another one, I think so, but I wasn't 100% on it when that one came out a couple years ago, that people remembered Costa Rica as an island. Colombia was twice as big. Not sure on that one. Constantly reading about new bizarre animals. Yep. Australia is tropical. That's interesting. No, they're not. They were subtropical. I remember them being subtropical. Let's see. Is Australia subtropical or tropical? So they were subtropical, but they didn't used to have snow, and now they do. Sinking air of the subtropical high pressure belt. Subtropical ridge of Australian high. Okay, looks like it's mostly subtropical still. Why is Australia not considered tropical when it's so... when it's so hot? Parts of it are tropical up in the north. A huge part is called the outback. It's a desert, not tropical, just hot. That is about right for me. That is what I do remember for it. But I don't remember it having snowy regions like it does now. Costa Rica is not an island now. It is fit in there. Let's see. Costa Rica, South America map. Yeah, it's fit in there in the Central America region. Not sure when that happened. It's an older Mandela, certainly. We weren't watching, before about 2014. Here it is. So yeah, it's there above Panama. So it just occurs to me that if we're sliding over South America, this pathway has to get longer. I don't remember Panama being like an S either, I might add. It was more straight. But it might be that we needed just more land mass in here to make this stretch, because it used to be straight down and now it's like, woo. Or for you, it's this way. So maybe we needed Costa Rica to slot in there and cover some of that. Look at Panama. I don't remember Panama being that stretched out. That's crazy. Wait, where am I here? It was an island. Yes, Shari, that is actually, that is the Mandela, but it's an older one for me. Off the coast of Ecuador. I just, I remember it vaguely being an island, but I can't say for sure. I just remember it being an island. Typical American, we don't know our geography that well. So a lot of the geography changes, I've really learned my geography a lot more since the Mandela kicked in, because I keep looking at these maps. There's now a big peninsula coming out of Antarctica that's close to South America. Yep. That thing's been growing a while, four-leaf clover. Very, I've mentioned it before, though. Tripping on Costa Rica. So what is it? Costa Rica, it's like rich coast. So that could be, it's still got a lot of coastline, but Panama was more straight. Yes, I remember Panama more straight. The Cancer Tropical Meridian crosses Australia in the middle of it. How is it not a tropical country? I think you need rainfall for tropics. I think that's why. Otherwise, it's a desert. So, definition of tropical. and it's huge. So then they're saying the north has got some tropical area. The humid, okay, tropic, inhabiting the tropics, especially the humid tropics. Tropics, very hot, especially when humid. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these definitions have switched around a little because they're trying to like shoehorn in, like they're saying that Antarctic has desert regions. So deserts used to, you couldn't used to have like desert regions where it was freezing cold. That was always covered with snow and ice. But now there's weird desert regions that are, oh, well, it's a desert because it doesn't have hardly any rainfall. And that was not the case. So I know that that definition has been tweaked a little. San Marino was an island. It's not an island now. I mean, is San Marino like a country in the South American or Central America? All right, San Marino. Yeah, that it does sound. San Marino. I think I had this on before. So now it's a little territory, I think. If I remember right. I think I've had this on. It's like, first you have to remember how it was, and then you have to remember how it became, but then it keeps shifting, so there's like, everything requires like twice as many memories. San Marino is a landlocked country. Oh, okay. Yeah, I do think we've had this on. It's a landlocked country. Ugh. Okay, yes, we've had that on as that weird little... I thought it was like a territory last time, though, wasn't it? It was a whole separate country? Gosh, Italy. Italy looks long. Italy goes all the way up to here? Italy. Oh my gosh, it's like the boot goes up like past your stomach now, the Italy boot. Dang, just looking at Italy, my gosh, it's so long. When did it get so long? Okay. So San Marino is I thought it was a territory, like an independent territory. Republic of San Marino. Also known as the most serene Republic of San Marino. I don't recall that. Only 24 square miles. Population of 33,000. Its northeastern end is within 10 kilometers of the Italian city of Rimini. Huh, that's interesting. Was it really a country last time I looked? I thought it was territory. All right, now I'm going to have to look at Europe map real quick. Gosh, when's the last time I looked at Italy? It seems like it's easy. All right, we've gone 1 hour. Europe maps. Are we going to load here or not? Okay, that's you. I can delete this one. Yeah, this is off. My gosh, look at that. New tab. Look at Italy. It's so long. I feel like it's grown like 25% since last I recall. And of course, Sicily ever bigger. Dang, look at that. Yeah, I feel like and I don't remember it like feeding up That's another thing. I don't remember it feeding up into Europe this much. Like, I don't remember having all these roots in Europe. So if you cut out like 25% of that and stuck it here, and then it's like it's grown parasitic roots into Europe. Switzerland's looking weird. Dang. Okay, so Switzerland used to be longer. It looks like Australia has stolen some of Switzerland's. Switzerland was more like that. It looked more like a blob with ends. This looks like Switzerland's. Australia did not used to have this finger. Germany has definitely, it was big, but I don't remember this pinch-in area here. God, the shapes are all weird. Norway, Sweden, and Finland just keep growing. They are so big in this timeline. Dang, man. Sardinia. It's Sardinia, right? Sardinia is as big as Sicily now. These were tiny. Sicily was smaller. There's no way Sardinia was the same size as Sicily. Sicily was the biggest island, and these were dinky. So Sardinia has made a big run for size lately. This is the first time I'm seeing these two islands as the same size. So yeah, endless changes here. So I'm thinking these lakes here are going to all hook up, and there's going to be a continuing river-like system through here. So you can see these protected waterways are growing. United Kingdom's coming in here, closing off this. I think we're going to get more stuff up here, closing off this. So in the Bible, last I checked, it says eventually there'll be one giant river that goes through the whole world. And that's how it'll be set up. And I don't know if that was always in there, but it does feel like that we're slowly developing that. Look, Black Sea is going to hook up over here. Faroe Islands are located way further to the east now. Okay, I'm not sure where those were before. The sardines are growing. Even the people are weird. Sweden near Germany. So it was near Germany for me, but it was attached on top of Poland for me. I can't figure out why Canadian Railways cuts through the United States. That's interesting. So it would make sense if stuff has shifted around and that didn't used to be the United States, but Poland looks big. Yeah. Okay, Shari was saying the same thing. I think you said that before I said it too. I don't remember the huge fur trim on Italy. Yeah, that's part of what's making it look long, but it's also long in the boot part too. Yeah, I don't really, trying to think, I don't remember Italy really having any of that fur trim. That's a good way to put it though. Yeah, it does look like a furry boot trim. Yeah, now that you mention it. It's like your butt is included in the boot now. It was just the boot. It did not have the rest. Gibraltar went from island to connected to land too. Actually, and Gibraltar was just the rock of Gibraltar. It wasn't like people didn't live on there. I don't really remember it being like a place where people lived at all. It was just the Rock of Gibraltar. So, um, actually, now that I think of it, that's another one I wouldn't swear to, but there were no people on the Rock of Gibraltar. It was like steep sides and just a giant rock. You couldn't live on it. It went from Pompeii as an island to Pompeii connected to land. Okay, that's another one I'm not sure on. It used to be an hour and a half boat ride from Sicily to Italy. Yeah, it definitely wasn't that close. Waiting for the bridge to show up because now they were talking about a bridge, blah, blah, blah. One of these days there may well be a bridge on there. Iceland was unofficially Europe's largest desert, though. Not for me. So for me, all of those were icy. There was no areas on North Pole or South Pole that didn't have ice, cliffs of ice and snow. It snowed everywhere. I mean, it was just, there were no areas that didn't have a boatload of snow. And Greenland also. Although Greenland's getting green, so it may actually be Greenland eventually. And then they'll say, well, of course it's called Greenland because it's green, but we're not there yet, but it seems like we're heading there. So by that logic, then I would expect Iceland to get more icy and become Iceland. Costa Rica was where Columbus landed in my past. Now he landed in America, like my America then. He didn't now, but originally he did. Things were supposed to be as solid as the Rock of Gibraltar. Yep. Actually, that's interesting about the Greenland desert. I'm going to have to look up that. Greenland desert. So I've heard of the Antarctic parts being desert, but I have not heard of Greenland desert. Greenland Arctic desert. See, those words don't belong together for me. Arctic desert. There was no Arctic desert. So there was snow everywhere, but I have seen definitely that parts of Greenland, it used to be all white on the map, and now the edges are turning green. Why is Greenland a desert? Some parts of northern Greenland are not covered by a huge inland ice cap. You'd think it would be the southern end, the northern end where it's cold, you'd think would be covered by the ice cap. They contain the most northerly ice-free region of the world. None of this makes any sense. Further north should have more ice. Precipitation levels are so low, only about 25 to 200 millimeters. 25 millimeters, that's not much. Snow all year. This is called a polar desert. See, we didn't have the word polar desert. It was not covered by glaciers during the most recent ice age. Where do we find cold deserts of the world? Antarctic, Greenland, Iran, Turkestan, northern and western China are also known as polar deserts. Found in certain mountainous areas. Some famous cold deserts are Atacama, Gobi, Great Basin, Namib, Iranian, Taklamakan, and Turkestan. The world's largest desert is the Antarctic desert. That is like so wrong. That is so wrong. All right. When did Boy George returning to the living? I don't think he died for me, but I think I recall other people saying they remembered him dying. That was a little while ago, maybe what, year or two ago, maybe like a year. Okay, so what do we got? All right, I'm gonna go over this one from last week that I just kind of mentioned. And this was the thumbnail of last week. I just think it's cool. So one of the things in my old timeline is you never really found like a complete skeleton all in one spot. And if they found like half the bones, they thought that was pretty cool. And they would be usually kind of scattered around, and maybe you find a few pieces here, a few pieces there. But that is just not the case anymore, because now this is Egypt, I believe. Yes, they have a Valley of the Whales, known as Al Fayoum. I think that's how you pronounce it. Whale Valley, Wadi Al Hitan, Whale Valley, I guess is the translation, in the western desert of Egypt. And what's cool about it is all of these are just like intact, totally intact whale skeletons, supposedly. They're just all lined up, and then they just dig them up and expose them, and then just leave them visible. And they were all like found next to each other and stuff. So there they are. They're just laying there, and just so all these whales, I guess, just died here, decomposed, and all of their fossils are just. So these are extinct species of whales too. So these aren't like, and obviously it's been like a few years since this was an ocean full of whales. So in Egypt there. So these are old fossils. This is not new. In the current timeline anyway. So the story then is that this has been known about for like 80 years, but it was kind of far away and everybody kind of forgot about it. And now people are starting to go, oh yeah, there's a whale valley and maybe we should preserve all this. Whales in the sand. So it's kind of confusing to me. I mean, have they been preserving it all this time? Because otherwise you would kind of have this covered with sand, wouldn't you? Like the Sphinx got covered with sand, and the Sphinx is very tall. So, like a 6-inch fossil should get covered with sand pretty fast, you'd think, out there in Egypt. So I mean, have people been out here digging this and dusting off the sand regularly? What keeps the sand at the same level? There's no, if the wind blows away the sand, are people throwing the sand back in? If the sand covers it? I mean, there's no explanation of how these are just laying here all perfectly uncovered in a line, supposedly where they originally found. And we forgot about it for 80 years, and they were saying, oh, we need to preserve the site. Well, how is it this good if it wasn't preserved? I mean, why didn't somebody come in here and scoop up these extinct fossils all laying on the top it seems like there's not much security or anything. I mean, I don't know. The story is weird to me. There's another image that's cool. So I was going to have this the thumbnail last week, but so much for that plan. I mean, you know, there's no buildings over this. There's no covers. It's just laying there. Like, you know, I don't know. It just, what? I have wondered if GMO food is causing all the allergies. Um, you know, I definitely subscribed to that for a long time, like not just GMOs, but the crap food and unnatural food. More recently, I would say that like huge amounts of soybean oil and PUFAs, which are, you know, polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are totally unnatural to the diet. All the additives and chemicals, preservatives, and the lack of nutrients and vitamins, and the lack of vitamin D, and exercise and going out in the sun, and all the screen time, and the lack of proper socialization of kids due to the social media and screen time, and just like all those things. Over over the recent years, I'm starting to suspect that more of it just might be some kind of spiritual evolution and pressure that is showing up in the body, shift sickness, inability to adapt to the shifting energies, thought processes, you make your own reality kind of thing. I suspect now that those are actually the biggest players. You see some different people in the same environment, and some are fine and some aren't. So used to be we blame that on genetics, but I'm starting to think there's might be like something at a more spiritual level to a lot of that, and then we blame it on stuff. We blame it on foods. We blame it. There's got to be a reason, right? In order to preserve the illusion of the current reality, we have to have cause and effect that makes sense with our belief in this reality. And so then we have all these other reasons why I got sick and you didn't, even though we're living in the same house or whatever. That's my current belief. I can't swear to it, and I'm not sure, but I suspect that at least has a lot more to do with it than we thought. So now we have what? We have the arm poketies, we have a virus or 5 or 6 of them being blamed on a lot of stuff. Even before that, or a lot of stuff being blamed on those, either one, depending on which school of thought you are, either the virus caused it or the treatment for the virus caused it. Before that, we had chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, all these other things that are unknown cause. Lately, there's been a lot of talk about brain fog. I never heard that term until about maybe 4 years ago. Now there's like thousands and thousands of people on Reddit all the time talking about brain fog. That just wasn't a thing. So what is causing all this? Is it the shifts? I'm starting to suspect it has a lot to do with the shifts. We are raising our frequency. Could that not explain changes in the human body? Yeah, and again, we've seen all these biology changes, right? I've definitely seen the morphology of the brain has drastically changed. So the brain's not working right. Maybe I just don't know how to operate this thing yet. I've been given it, like a baby comes into the world and it has to figure out how to operate the brain, and the brain develops and matures. So maybe some of this or a lot of it or all of it has to do with that. It's just how do we operate this effing new system? And you start to figure it out, and then there's another shift, and then you're, it's like running on a treadmill. You run, but the carpet keeps getting pulled out from under you. So never get a shot for something that mutates. Yeah, I got to be careful what I say on YouTube. about these things. So that's why if you're not going to go by the narrative, then you can't just, YouTube's getting weirder and weirder about that stuff. So I'm not saying anything about the arm poketies, but I think you can probably maybe guess what I might be thinking. So I'm thinking it's not a coincidence that all of this happened when it did. And, I know people who got the arm poketies and they're fine. So they didn't get all of them though. They just got the early ones. So you're obviously not doomed to destruction in the first few years anyways. I'll be definitely watching, but I woke up one day and my head got like a sunburn out of nowhere. Huh, that's weird. So it could be some kind of weird rash thing, like an allergic response, but still, that is weird. All right, so we got that one, and that took me an hour and 20 minutes to cover 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, my progress has not been great, but all right, I'm trying to figure out. I actually haven't looked at some of these for like 14 days, so I'm like, what? All right, this one is from, let me see, make sure I covered everybody's. Taro, Shari. Oh, that Valley of the Whales thing, that was from user on Retcon known as Will Work for Answers. That's a person who has found a lot of Mandelas and is very active on Retcon on Mandela finding. So good job, Will Work for Answers. Okay. Now we can get on to the next one. This one is from Jay Emblin, frequent commenter on the show. Also finds a lot of Mandelas. So the definitions of things continue to get fuzzy. The old timeline, it was kind of easier to delineate stuff. Everything's getting, fuzzy. So we have this thing called the giant elephant mosquito. So it's like this huge effing mosquito. So mosquitoes have changed a lot. They used to just be bloodsuckers, but now a lot of them spend the majority of their life pollinating. And the male doesn't even need blood, and the female only needs it before making eggs, which just seems kind of weird that they would be fine with pollen the whole time. Bees are able to make eggs and lay and everything just fine without getting blood. It's pretty bizarre to me that something would eat pollen its whole life and then suddenly need effing blood. I mean, that's like a whole different area. Suddenly I need blood. Why do bees not need blood to make their eggs? Why don't they just make their eggs without the effing blood? It's just strange. So these elephant mosquitoes, they were like an inch long or something stupid like that. Let's see. Toxor hinkites. 18 millimeters, 24 millimeter wingspan, 18 millimeters. How long is that anyways? Pretty long. All right, so there it is. It's a skeeter, 18 millimeter. I wish I had inches. But they call them mosquitoes, before you freak out. They call them mosquitoes, but they don't suck blood, apparently. I'm like, why are they called a mosquito then? They don't need land for laying eggs, blah, blah. It eats the larva of other species. Oh, yeah, that's right. It eats the larva of other mosquito species. So it's like literally a mosquito eater that eats mosquitoes. So there's this weird flying bug that we have that we always called it a mosquito eater, and then later it's like, oh well, it doesn't really eat mosquitoes. I wonder if it once did, but they don't now. But this mosquito eats other mosquitoes. I've never heard of a mosquito that ate other mosquitoes, and it's big, but it's good. I mean, if I saw one of those, I'd probably flip out because it's like the largest mosquito ever, but looks like it's in this region, so we could have it here, right on the, it looks like it's right on the bottom of California somewhere. It's also branded as the tree-hole predatory mosquito in North America. So I guess this part here is North America now. The bottom of America. That is North America. Looking for the wiki because it'll have inches. All right. Yeah, it's like 1 inch wingspan. So, I mean, if you saw a skeeter that big, and if you look at it has those same creepy, wiggly larva that is under the water and then sticks one tube up through the water to the air, and it does that wiggly thing they do when the larva, but this like 3-4 times bigger than the regular skeeters, even in that state. So yeah, we have mosquitoes that eat mosquitoes. What makes them mosquitoes? I mean, it used to be that mosquitoes suck blood, but now I guess there's got some other taxonomic reason to call them mosquitoes, and they don't always suck blood. Let's see, don't bite humans. Yeah, then later they get, yeah, so they eat larvae, and then later they eat nectar. Again, that's kind of a weird, different kind of diet, but I mean, I'm trying to think, did I ever even know in the old timeline something that would live on nectar at one stage of its life and like eat predatory, like a predator on another? I can't think of anything that did that. So I'm looking at my other ones to see which ones I'm going to run. I got a half hour, so I'm going to read what you guys are saying. I have been taking a look at huge insects which are sold in Icelandic stores. They look like insectoids from ufology. So I have had a lot of very large insects that would be sold here also, but they weren't from here. They were from like South America and like the tropical countries. But I do feel like we're getting more and more and weirder and weirder. Sia likes my hair color. Thanks. I just re-dyed it. It's the same old color, but I actually like it a little oranger than this, but they changed the formula on the one I used to use, and I can't find any dyes that have it the more orangey and less coppery. So more orangey would be like a year ago, the way right after I dyed it, it would look like that. The blue butterfly pea flowers. So there's so many flowers that look like insects now. It was just a few of them, and now it's like endless. I've just stopped covering them because there's just so many. It's just ridiculous. But I see them all the time. I'm like, psst, quit it. Blue butterfly pea. So yeah, those are pretty normal looking. So I couldn't say that I didn't know they existed. But ooh, it looks like they make a dye out of it. Cool. Powdered dried ground flower leaves. That's interesting. Actually, they can grind those up and they don't turn like brown. So, we have blue flowers, but once they die, they're not blue anymore. They don't stay all nice colored like that. So if I took a a morning glory and ground flour and ground it up, it's not going to be like blue powder later. Once you start grinding it on it, it starts rotting and drying up, and it ain't blue no more. Product doesn't exist. Dope. All right, so let's just assume that's even legit. Pea flour powder. Let's see. Butterfly pea. No, it looks like this one also has it. Check that out. So it stays blue. Blue butterfly super color powder. That's so neat. I actually don't know of any flowers that stay. Dash of rainbow, naturally color your life. So what's it good for? Is it a colorant? Is it some kind of antioxidant? What's the deal here? I'm trying to think. Is there any? I've never heard of any. Like the hibiscus, that we have blue hibiscus, but those don't stay. They won't stay blue either. Once they fall off and they're brown later. Referred to as blue matcha. Okay, matcha is like a tea ingredient. Key to making some of the most vibrantly beautiful drinks and snacks you'll ever see. So matcha is a little bit of a stimulant. Has been used for centuries to dye foods various shades of blue. Changes color according to different pH levels. Okay, interesting. Can go from deep blue to pastel pink. Has supposed health benefits. No scientific evidence. Contains anthocyanins, antioxidants. All right, so I guess it's just a colorant. It does not appear to have flavor, at least not yet. Who knows, maybe it will become blueberry flavored. I'm going to have to check that out later. All right. Would be nice if mosquitoes were starting to change to no longer need blood. I do like that idea. And, you know, all the talk of the bees not being available to do the pollination. Suddenly we have skeeters doing it. And so they wouldn't need to suck as much blood because most of their meals are now pollen. And I think I remember a few weeks ago, there were some articles saying that they're responsible for most of the pollination in the world. So maybe behind bees, but has no caffeine. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to really dig into that tea. It looks like if I drink this tea every day, it improves brain function. You mean the butterfly pea powder? Or are we talking about something else? Described as counter stress effect. Yeah, one hit is how much? You know what? Let's look on Amazon. I didn't say it was super expensive or anything. Butterfly pea flowers tea bags. All right, let's look up the tea bags. Pea flower pyramid tea bags. 30 tea bags for $13. Looks like it does make a blue tea. All right, let's see what we got for the powder. Natural powder, 4 ounces, 12 bucks. Free shipping. Flower powder. All right, let's check the sponsored link for what its claims are. So, anthocyanins, so that's going to be antioxidants. Great for hair health. 53 ratings. It's got 4.5 stars. Not bad. Wonder what it tastes like. Tastes good. Nice value for fun. Organic coloring agent. Becomes purple with lemon juice. Very cool to use for a change up on basic beverages. Has a light tea flavor. All right. Interesting. I'm going to throw one in my cart just for later so I can remember. All right. That will remind me to check into it. So if this has just shown up, it may not have developed that far as to what it's going to be in the end, too. Right, wait, somebody had a thing here. All right, Shari has provided a link, so let's check that out. I've got 20 more minutes here. Health benefits, use. Living in the Asian part of the globe, butterfly pea powder is not a new phenomenon. I don't know. Has any of you people living in the Asian part of the globe heard of this stuff? In fact, it is regularly used as a natural food coloring agent, cosmetic additive, and even as a remedy. Also known as Asian pigeon wings, blue pea, blue belvine, cortofan pea, and Darwin pea. Also known as blue matcha. I've never heard of that. Flowers are gently collected. Their impurities are removed. I don't know what that means. Maybe they just yank off the petals, basically. Sun-dried and crushed into powder. Does not contain calories. In Thailand, they make a blue drink commonly known as Dok Anchan, a wonderful brain-boosting herb native to tropical equatorial Asia. People of eastern Malaysia add a few buds of this flower while cooking white rice to achieve a bluish tinge. It is unique, beneficial, and looks very attractive on the plate. Blue rice. I don't know. Guess if you grow up with it, it's fine. Even a few sips of butterfly pea powder have soothing properties. Increases blood circulation, relieves tension, treats cataracts and glaucoma. Inhibits absorption of glucose. Added to hair care products to stimulate healthy hair growth. Used to prepare syrups and sherbets. Sherbets. Some of us remember it was sherbert, not sherbet. There was a while I thought that sherbet was different than sherbert. Then I now understand that sherbert is gone and it's sherbet. It's safe to consume it unless you have an allergy. Well, it is pretty. You have a latte, blah, blah, blah. Has a herbal, grassy, and somewhat earthy flavor. Loaded with vitamin A, C, and E. Although I would take that with a grain of salt when they say loaded. Okay, so there you go. I don't know. Didn't see anything about caffeine. And it's supposed to be soothing, so one would not think it had caffeine. Next week I will have blue teeth. Werewolf tea. Why they need to say it's not new. Yeah, I don't know. It looks a little suspicious to me. Sherbert. Yeah, Mandanimal. You remember sherbet, right? You know, let me make sure that it's not. It wasn't sherbet last time I looked. I mean, and I don't see sherbet anymore. Versus, let me see what they say about sherbet. Sherbet versus sherbet. Can you even find sherbet versus sherbet? Two different spellings, sherbet and sherbet. Why do both forms exist? Sherbet is the standard American spelling for the frozen mixture from fruit. See, I grew up with sherbet, and I've never heard of sherbet until... It's an older Mandela, but I mean, I think I was at least 20 before I ever heard of sherbet. And I'm American, so if it's standard American, and I only ever saw it spelled as sherbet. It comes from a Persian drink made of fruit juice, water, sweetener, and a cooling component such as snow. This refreshment was called sherbet after the Arabic word sharba for a drink. Sherbet is a common misspelling of sherbet that resulted from a common mispronunciation. Its prevalence has resulted in its inclusion in some dictionaries as an alternative spelling. So the spelling came from a mispronunciation. Where did the mispronunciation come from? Besides, I only ever saw it. It was always sherbet. And like I would go to the grocery store, and when we bought it, it said sherbet on it with an R. If you order sherbet in the UK, you may get something else entirely. In British English, sherbet is more commonly used to refer to a sweet powder that can be made into an effervescent drink. Okay, unlike sherbet, sorbet. Okay, so it's sherbet in both the USA and the UK, but the UK stuff is a different stuff. It's still called sherbet, though. So there's no good explanation. Just a whole bunch of people said sherbet because we're all just stupid, I guess. I don't know. I remember it being sherbet. Yeah, it was sherbet. It was always an only sherbet. See, it's me, never heard of it. Yeah, I mean, if you're not from America and you don't know you don't do that word at all, then you wouldn't know. But if you're from here, Orange sherbet was my favorite. So, I mean, if you're like one of those other countries, you might say it like how it, like that, sharbat would probably be what it, the Arabic word sharbat instead of, there's no R there either. I wonder where sherbet even originally came, sherbert originally came from, but there's no R in even the original words. So interesting. And its closest cousin, sorbet, does not have an R there either on the second syllable. So yeah, sherbet 70s and 80s, I would say, was sherbet. And then suddenly it was sherbet. And like I said, I thought it was some other like variation of it or something for the longest time. Sunny123 remembers sherbet. Four-leaf clover remembers sherbet. This is actually a pretty popular Mandela, isn't it? See, it's me has heard of the Arabic word. Yeah, so it might not be a Mandela for you then, because there you don't have either version. You don't have sherbet or sherbet. Okay, so where are we here? Got you. I only have 12 minutes left. I think I'll do this last one. So if you guys know like the JFK conspiracy, apparently there's a new aspect to it that I've never heard of. And Thomas Larson found this one. So good find. So some of you may know that it is said the official narrative is that Lee Harvey Oswald pulled the trigger. So this is not exactly the smoking gun that he's innocent, but I've never heard of this part of the conspiracy before. And man, we've talked about this thing so much. But supposedly he was up in a building shooting JFK. But then people have an image of him like in the doorway on the ground. So it's like the Oswald in the doorway conspiracy, and I've never heard of this one before. So there's an image now. The thing is, it's a little grainy, so you could kind of go, well, is that really Oswald? But the thing is, he's wearing like the same shirt and the, oh man, all the images are dead on there. Let's try a different one. Let's try here. Okay, so he's got like the same shirt as when Oswald was caught. He's got like all the same clothing and stuff. So, but it's kind of grainy. It really does look like him with the same clothing, but it's just grainy enough that you could question. Like there's just enough. So this guy's like putting different clothes on him and going, and the face looks like him. All right, that is actually covers a bunch of other stuff. Let me see if I can find a better one. Dang, you know, it's like I look these up and it's very straightforward to find like the first time. And then later I try to find it and there's all this other stuff. Okay. So this, apparently is Oswald after he was captured, and this was him in the doorway. He's got sticky outy ears, he's got the same hairline, same nose, but again, it's a little blurry, and he's got about the same clothes. He's got this white shirt with this over jacket thing that's the same, and so people are basically saying, okay, there he is captured, and there is him in the door. So people are basically saying, oh, he was downstairs on the ground floor, and so he couldn't have been up shooting JFK. So, I mean, like I said, you could question this, but the fact is it's close enough that you probably should have heard of the conspiracy before, especially anybody that's really very much following that conspiracy thing, and I just have never heard of it. Oswald's closing has changed. Ooh, I'm not sure on that one. I'm, it's a little bit before my time, so I wasn't as into this conspiracy theory as I have been some of like the later ones, like 9/11. I did look at it a fair amount just because of all the Mandelas, and that the video suddenly has always been in color when I remember it being in black and white, etc., etc. Logical Danger has not heard of it. Okay, you don't remember the white t-shirt. Yeah, I'm just not as sure on that one. So I don't know, I don't know what to say about these conspiracy theories because the whole video has changed. All the events have changed. The conspiracy theory itself has changed. So maybe the truth is different in every timeline, or it's ever evolving, and the reality hasn't decided what the official truthy truth is going to be. I don't know. But then if that's the case, then I mean, were there hundreds of different Oswalds? Is this a real person that lived different lives and different things happened to him every timeline? Different versions of him, or is it all just a storyline from the Matrix, and there is no Oswald as a separate human other than this story? It opens up a lot of questions. So you remember having a white t-shirt? Yeah, that does kind of sound right. Just a white t-shirt, not that overcoat thing. I could get behind that one. Again, it's not going to be like the smoking gun Mandela for me, but anyway, I have 6-ish minutes left, so I think that's my last Mandela. The other ones weren't that good anyway, so I think I'll stay with those. No jacket. Okay, yeah, no jacket was any picture. I can always revive some of those other Mandelas for next week if I get a slow week. All right, so I think I'm about done. I mean, in America, people are not allowed to vote their own politicians yet. In Iceland, they are. Well, we have the primaries, and then you vote for their favorite of each politician. You can do write-ins, but it's pretty hard to get people all organized enough to all do the same write-in enough to actually get, a large percentage. So it would be nice if we could bypass the primaries a lot more, because I feel like they pretty much, the best candidates, they get them so that they don't get any media time. Like, for instance, there was a guy in the recall elections in California that he polled number one in the election. He was polling as a number one. I think because he was more of a Democrat, and this is a Democrat state. And so if anybody was going to, maybe they don't like Gavin Newsom, our current guy, but they're still a Democrat, right? So I think that's why this guy was getting the number one in the polling, is because he wasn't Gavin Newsom, but he was running as a more moderate Democrat, and that's what people wanted. But then when the media came out, they didn't get any coverage. There was debates. He wasn't allowed in any of the debates. No, so nobody heard of him. And then this other guy came out from left field, and he was kind of well known on YouTube, and he got all the media attention, and he got in all the debates, and suddenly he became the front runner to go against Gavin Newsom. This other guy was basically railroaded out. So he wasn't, I think this other guy wasn't playing the game, and so they just didn't let him into the party, you know? And so, of course, he lost in the end because he didn't get any more attention after being the front runner. So if everything was fair, then he would have gotten a lot of attention when he was the front runner, but yet he did it. So I feel like that's how the primaries are. The really good people that you might actually like are blocked from ever getting the media attention and going further. And that's what happened to this guy. That's why I don't like the primaries anymore.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude John.
Election on prison planet. Okay, so you're basically saying it's a waste of time or some such. So we just hope that that can change. I mean, we see things can magically change. Maybe they will magically change when people are ready for them to magically change, you know? Maybe enough people have to want it before it comes in the reality. It'd be a lot easier to put in fancy horses and cute butterflies and stuff because there's not a lot of, that's kind of an easy sell, you know? All right, so Sapioid has put the Discord in, so you remove that space after the dot if you want to chit-chat some more. For me, it's like 2 in the morning, and I'm trying to get to bed on a slightly more reasonable time, so I have like slightly more daylight hours of wakefulness. So I am going to be done after this, but anybody who wants to chit chat, definitely check out the Discord. I know people have been asking for it. So if you want the Discord to stick around, you're going to have to support it by going there and holding up your end of the conversation. Drink some blue butterfly. It's just, I think it's tea, Mandanimal, not P. Tea. No, and it doesn't. It's that, blue butterfly. Actually, I didn't see that one. I think you were talking about the flower, unless there's something else. All right, anyways, I'm confused enough, and I've got only minutes. So, time for me to go. You know the drill. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.